Hey guys and welcome back to another What If. Today we're doing What If Kurama's chakra turns Naruto into a female, part 7. I think I've tried doing this 4 or 5 times, probably. Like on the third try I got around 20 minutes in, then my brain started contradicting myself. I started contradicting myself, and yeah, I had to stop and actually somewhat watch a part of, well, I generally do watch a part of the part before I make the next part, so that I know what I've gone through and what information the characters now have to them. And yeah, so anyway, and if you want a recap on what happened in the last part, go and watch it. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into this part. Yeah, well, Kasu turn on and go, well, Team 7, you're dismissed. And well, the rest of you, unless you want to accompany me to the Hokage Tower, you're all dismissed as well. They're all nine. There's Kasu then sent into the Hokage Tower to pretty much tell who's and how the mission went, and pretty much like how many kills everyone got. Well, somewhat who'd didn't really even know Naruto's own count. He'd forgotten his somewhat of his own account as well. Well, no, he knew how much he had killed, and he knew how much everyone else, so he could figure out how many Naruto had killed. So yeah, once he was doing with that, Naruto had, well, everyone had pretty much went for their home. Naruto went in. Once he'd gotten home, he'd turned around, well, shut his door obviously, and then locked it, and had went to his bedroom, shut his door, and curled up into a ball and just went into his mind. And Kurama knew why Naruto was doing this, because it somewhat instinctually, his mind was going a mile a minute or a mile a second. As once Naruto knew how Kurama would be, and Naruto just ran out and somewhat just cuddled her and just started crying and Kurama had somewhat trying to ease Naruto's pain of having to take so many lives. Yeah, it was somewhat frustrating for her, because she could kill an army and not bat an eye, because killing for her was just normal. She didn't like it, but it was life. It was killed or be killed. She knew that, and yeah, she could care less about the people she killed. Well, up until she ended up killing Kushina. That's when she actually did care about who she killed, because that was in a fit of rage, which she's never killed before in rage. Yeah, she's always killed calm and collective, never really in a fit of rage. So, yes. And an hour and a half would go by as Naruto would open his eyes, as he would hear knocking at the door, and would sigh as he was just about to take off his top, as his breast had somewhat started hurting. Though because the sigh was a sort of annoyance, as he wanted to get the sports bra off as soon as possible to relieve whatever was causing the pain in his breast to just go away. Though he could tolerate it for a bit more, as he'd open the door and go, "Sensei, why are you here?" As Kakashi was about to speak, though he was taken aback a bit after seeing Naruto's red around his eyes, as so would clench once again. No, flashback to after Kakashi had gotten out of the was free from Hosen. It was, well, somewhat annoying because he thought, oh, surely, teammate and Tencent would come with him because they were joining as well. Yeah, no, they just left it all to Kakashi, and so Kakashi had done the best he could to describe how Team 8 intended, but it was like, I don't really know because I was focused on my team. Yes, once they'd killed, I'd looked around, made sure all of them had taken one kill and had actually killed them, and if they needed to get out of there, I would be the first one there to get them out safely. Hizen just nodded and somewhat sighed annoyance because it seemed like Team 8 and Tencent Sensei weren't, so Asuma and Kunai weren't exactly willingly wanting to just tell the Hokage how they thought their teams did in killing. So yeah, anyway, after that he then went to Sasuke to tell him that that they had 3 days off to handle the pretty much somewhat trauma of taking your first life, as well, or lives in the case of Sasuke and Sakura, being Sasuke killed 7, Sakura killed 6. So yeah, and Sasuke asked Sensei, does killing ever get any easier? Sasuke said, I somewhat wish myself that it does, but it doesn't. It always hurts. It never gets any easier to take life, but if it does, then go and see some a mental health, I don't know, whoever, just go see someone and talk to them about why you're starting to enjoy it. So yeah, you don't want to seek advice if you start enjoying killing. Sasuke somewhat knows it go though. Need to find out though. The best way to cope with it is to find a way. The way a coping mechanism to what I can guess. Nato's coping mechanism is just training. He trains himself into the ground and then some. Pretty sure if actual training, if he could train himself into the ground, he'd probably be, who knows, probably on the other side of the world by now. Sasuke would chuckle at that and agree, because they knew Naruto had pretty much the highest reserves out of everyone there. Well, yeah, he somewhat continue talking throughout some ideas on what coping mechanisms Sasuke could possibly try. Reading was one of them, and reading, training, dancing, talking to people, going out for a walk, a jog, a run. Yeah, there were many things to do. Yeah, after that, after talking to Sasuke and helping him somewhat get through his getting through the pain, he then left to go and talk to Sakura though. Well, yeah, he'd spent around half an hour there after talking to her mum first, which had brought a slight realisation to himself that pretty much three-quarters of his team, 3/4, quite that, yes, 3/4 of his team didn't have any parents or any real relatives they could talk to alive. Like, yeah, Sasuke had his brother and possibly another member out there, but they were all missing. In Naruto, like, Kakashi did, well, he knew there were possibly some Uzumaki survivors, but again, Konoha didn't know where they were, so they were pretty much his two strongest teammates were pretty much just like him, no parents, pretty much nobody to really fall back on. Yeah. Well, Naruto somewhat took it more literally and never having parents to raise him, so he really had no one to fall back on, somewhat. So yeah. Well, anyway, after helping Sakura out, because he'd spent around 15 minutes with the Kage going through the mission debriefing, which was annoying for him, as like normally the mission briefings were maybe 10-15 minutes. Yeah, not half an hour long. Well, not half an hour, 15 minutes long. Though he could somewhat understand, because it was just like, obviously for the other teams, it's pretty much like just witnessing pretty much Naruto and Kakashi do somewhat what they do, just seeing probably seeing just Team 7 wipe out an entire bandit camp solo. So yeah, though it was in the hope that this would spark the interest in hopefully getting them stronger, they would want to get stronger to not be weak again, because they Team 8 and 10 had only killed, well, Team 8 and 10 collectively killed 3, well no, collectively killed 6, the same Sakura did solo, because Team 10, so Ino, Choji and I forgot his name. Yeah, they killed 3 people, 1 each, and same with teammate which Kiba, Hinata and Bug Boy. That's why I call him Bug Boy. They had only killed 1 each as well. Whilst obviously Rich was, as I said, joined those two teams together, and they'd killed 6. Which Sakura had killed 6. Sasuke had killed 7. Naruto had killed, what Kakashi could think of, around 159, maybe. Yeah, around that number, 159, 160 people there, which were there, and there was around I think 250 people there, enemies there. 200, I think actually 200, either 205 to 250. So yeah, I think the 250 mark. Anyway, well yeah. And well, after somewhat helping Sakura go through it and telling Sakura the same thing he told Sasuke, which was pretty much she should try and have a coping mechanism, which could be reading, writing, training even, just something to get her mind off things, something she would enjoy. Sakura would nod and would thank Kakashi for coming around, though he'd come around for a completely separate reason. But yeah, and she'd know that, and she knew that and guessed it. But you'd still say thanks, because you still helped her go through handling it. is Kakashi would say, well, now that you're all here, we've got 3 days. Then tell him what he told Sasuke, which should have 3 days off. Well, the entire team's got 3 days off to process and handling their first kills. So no, does Kakashi should go well. And now, well, guess got probably. Well, I'm now gonna have to go and tell Naruto. Anyway, I hope you get well, Sakura, and yeah, see you like within the week, I guess. She'd nod and would say bye. As Kakashi would then leave and would then walk towards Naruto's house, which is pretty much what is happening right now. Is Naruto would go, well, coming, Sensei. Kakashi would come in, Naruto would shut the door and lock it. As like, the reason why he locks his door in when he's home is because, like, they're just like it was somewhat started doing that when he was around 7 to 8 years old, because mobs would just like bust open his door when it was broad daylight and try and kill him or set the house light or something. And yeah, so Naruto just started locking it. So yeah, it was one way to keep himself safe. Anyway, so yeah, Kakashi would go, well, after sitting down in the living room / front room, he'd say, you okay, Naruto? And I'd go, yeah, I felt better, Sensei, though, thanks to Kurama. I'm a lot better than what I was just an hour and a half ago. Kakashi would nod and go, well, we've got 3 days off. This is an order by Hokage-sama himself. Naruto would just somewhat nod and would go, well, Sensei, do you have any way of, say, like, of dealing with, by, like, say, taking someone's life? Because I can't just keep on, like, going to training after, because, you know, I'm gonna eventually burn myself out, and yeah, it may help. I just don't know. Kakashi would think for a minute and go, well, as he'd pat down and open up one of his pockets on his journaling vest, as he'd pull out a book, as Naruto either back and go, that isn't provided now, is it? Yeah, it laced his voice with a bit of bloodlust and killing intent. As Kakashi would go up and go, no, this isn't a provided book, Naruto. This is actually a Fuinjutsu book. As Naruto go, Fuinjutsu? What? Okay. Kakashi would go, well, this is level 1 Fuinjutsu. It's nothing like a Uzumaki level 1. Because I thought I'd give it to you as, well, of course, as you know, your mother, she was like Fuinjutsu master. She could do crazy stuff with Fuinjutsu, and yeah, like your parents, like they were barely scratching the surface on what Fuinjutsu could do, and they were held as masters of Fuinjutsu in Konoha, but to Uzumaki they could barely do. Like, to Uzumaki they could barely say write. They could speak it, but like they couldn't write it in like, say, for Uzumaki's, because after all they'd have to generally write most of their skills down, like, to form it. And I did nod and Uzumaki's could say, you want a ceiling, say, like, you know, you could ask them, like, say, to, like, you know, to, like, say, make a ceiling scroll, not since, like, a storage scroll. They'd pull out a piece of paper and whack the hand on it, lift it up, and there you go. Like, they could apply it, like, ceiling scrolls, they could do almost, like, 99% of that Fuinjutsu just without ink, just pretty much applying the seals with their hands, with their chakra itself. Go, whoa. Guess it didn't know and go well. Yeah, just made through it. It's level 1, and well, yeah. I didn't say thanks. I should go well. Yeah, just remember, I know you probably train, but at least try not to. I don't go well. I don't know. Yeah, can't promise you anything, Sensei. Because we just not gonna go well. You know, like, you know, see Minato, see sometime during the week, I guess. After nodding would say bye. Once, yes, well, after the door was there, unlock the door, open it, I should leave. He'd then shut it and lock it back up again. Yeah, then he'd walk into his bedroom as he'd pull off his top finally and, well, coming to get an eye, now to stand in front of his mirror anyway, full body mirror, as Kuma was eyeing his chest, as Kuma could see could see very obviously that they were pressed up, like, as Kuma would go, "Hey kid, what is it? I'd suggest you go to the shop you generally go to get your bras and other clothing items, and ask the person to measure your breasts. I believe you're going to need a new bra." And I would go, what do you think that? Well, just look down at your breast, and obviously they're currently hurting, and they seem to be obviously like squished up. You can see that because generally, it's meant to be quite smooth, and yeah, you can clearly see a bump in them, which means it's pushed up. They're being restricted. I have to look down and go, "Oh, I see." As you'd pull off the sports bras, yeah, they'd somewhat, growing length almost. Well, slightly though. Naruto wasn't 100% sure, though. Thrown on a normal bra, like an A-cup bra, would be perfectly fine. So, Kuma was somewhat wondering, like, was it just her own imagination, or was like this sports bra when Naruto had washed it? Did Naruto accidentally shrink it, which was a possibility? Come on, go, "Hey kid, could you throw in another sports bra and see if it feels uncomfortable?" Naruto would go, "Okay, I guess," as he'd take his bra back off and would throw in another sports bra, though this time it wouldn't, as could go, "Never mind, you don't need a new bra. It just seems like that one you was wearing, you seem to have shrunk it." And I'd go, I started to explain why it hurt. It's like, yeah, you pretty much shrunk it a cup size smaller. And to go, oops. Go, just shake her head in slight amusement. The odd things Naruto could do. Yeah. So anyway, Minato take off sportsman, throw on a normal, but like pretty much throwing the boy was just wearing, and would change his clothes and would just go out for a walk. Well, no, he'd just actually just lay on his bed pretty much for the rest of the day, just talking to Kurama in his mind. And yeah, the next day when he got up, he was out and just walking around Konoha for a bit, though he'd somewhat after a while he'd heard Sakura calling his name, so he'd stop and turn around as Sakura would run up to him and go, hey Naruto, how are you doing? After a while, you know, let's go, I'm doing better. I'm doing a lot better now, thanks to, well, you know, as he'd, like tap his stomach where the seal was. Sakura would understand immediately and would go, I see. It's somewhat quite handy to be, well, you know, it's not now to go, well, yeah, just the one massive downside is that everyone thinks you're a monster. So I could go, yeah, besides from that, otherwise, you know, like, yeah, you get cool perks, you know, you get faster healing, more power. Actually, like, yeah, it's just, it's like Naruto go, well, it may seem like it's all perfect, but remember, she's nice. There are some that are complete and absolute jerks, and yeah, so it just depends on the one you pretty much are forced to have. So I could just nod at that. Yeah. Then yeah, as they would just walk around Konoha and they'd talk for hours. A couple of hours would go by as it was near midday, as so I could go, hey Naruto, am I sorry, like, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Is not good. Yeah. Why does a building just not that far outside of Konoha have my clan symbol? The Uzumaki symbol, the Uzumaki sword, it's their clan symbol. So I could go, yeah. Why is your clan's emblem there? And I don't know. Let's find out. So I could go, I've got a weird feeling from it, like I don't belong here, like I shouldn't go in. And come and go, that's probably the best bet that she doesn't, though. I don't know, I guess you could summon me, Naruto, but you may run the risk of needing to do another blood clone. Naruto would say, nah, I may do before, I may have felt dizzy and light-headed, but I can make do. So just come on, just and go, just be careful now, just be careful. I don't go, oh well, you know, I will care, as I to pull out a kunai and would just slice his hand open his, so I could go, Naruto, what are you doing? Just, I could rinse from the sand and go, Sakura, quiet, please. Should go, right, so sorry, but why did you just, you find out in a second as that would run through the hand signs, well, half the hand signs for the blood clone. Yeah, you can now do with only using half the hand signs. Yeah, as that would say blood clone jutsu. As Sakura would go wide-eyed, she was somewhat of a history freak, so she'd read all the history, well, most history, and like what kept on appearing over and over and over and over again was attempting blood clone and attempting to make blood clone the ultimate clone jutsu. Yeah. And here was Naruto just doing it, just figured something out that hundreds, thousands of millions of people have tried, and Naruto's just doing it like it's an everyday thing. Though to be honest, to Naruto it probably was, so who should you do judge. Yeah, after Naruto performed it, Kurama had taken control of that clone, knowing why Naruto had made it. So yeah, as Naruto would then go, well, Kura, this is Sakura, Sakura, this is Kurama. And now I'm going in. Gonna just shaking head hurts and check his antics. And turn ahead to Sakura and go, well, it's nice to finally meet you face to face, Sakura. It's nice to meet you too, Kurama. Kurama, sorry, let me just go and wave off. No, Sama, please, just Kurama. Sakura just nod and go, okay. She's somewhat, obviously, she knew that Kurama was friendly from how, Naruto would talk. Well, after Naruto told them that he was in Shinjuku, and pretty much, she was actually very nice and that, and yeah, somewhat blamed herself for kind of what happened, though it wasn't really her fault, because Sasuke and Sakura were married. Well, said, well, that's obvious, of course it's not her fault, but she still blamed herself for what happened, though Naruto didn't exactly say that like that. Well, his parents' death was because of her. He didn't quite say that. Yeah, he alluded at it, but that was it. Yeah. Anyway, Naruto would enter the shrine of some sort, and after going all the way down to the bottom, Naruto would go, hey, Kura, you can come down. There's no traps or anything. Kura would just go, okay, kid, we're on our way. Because, yeah. And, a couple seconds later, and, they'd be down to where Naruto is, though they'd be on the step, as it was a clean shot to what they could see, and Kurama had told Sakura, don't get any closer, this is probably the safest we can go any further, and I feel like we'll be treated as trespassers. Sakura nodded, and they just somewhat stayed there. Naruto just wondered why, but shrugged it off, as Kurama then would notice there's weird symbols among the mirror of masks, and she couldn't make it out. She'd go, hey, Kit, could you somewhat read or make out what that says at all, if that's even their language? Sakura obviously would also be able to see it, as she'd go, I can't even read it either. Naruto would start reading it like it was normal, and after finished reading it, he'd go, it's the language of my clan. They'd go, the language of your clan, what do you mean? Doesn't everyone speak English? It's like, Naruto going, no, well, yeah, but some clans somewhat made up their own language, or written language, to hide, to hide certain things, this being one of them. This pretty much says this is the shrine of the Shinigami. Those who have summoned her and have sacrificed their soul to her shall rest here. Using one of these masks and a body that is alive, to use as a sacrifice, you may summon forth the Shinigami, and she will let whoever you may ask for out for a limited amount of time. Using these hand signs which Naruto wouldn't say or show at all for reasons that are obviously it was a canned jutsu, it was a suicide jutsu, so, and Naruto didn't want anyone somewhat doing the jutsu which would result in you being up there, or would result in, say, bringing back a mass army of people who have summoned the Shinigami to seal away stuff or whatever. So yeah. Well, yeah. After that, Naruto would think, wait, Naruto just somewhat shrug and go, well, I just go, Sakura, could you go upstairs? I need to talk to Naruto, tell Naruto something. Does Naruto go, why can't you tell her? He's like, well, can't you tell me? Well, she says, like, yeah, I can, but do you want her knowing about it? Naruto go, knowing about what? She'd go, who your father is, Naruto. I wasn't really ever planning on telling you because I wanted either your sensei or the old man, the Okage, to tell you, but somewhat forced my hand. Naruto blink in confusion and would to his head and go, okay, yeah, I don't mind. She would turn to Sakura and go, do not tell anyone, okay? Sakura would go and nod violently. Whoever Naruto's father was clearly very damn important for Kurama to give that sort of warning. She'd go, well, you see, Kit, your father is none other than Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage in Konoha's Yellow Flash. Naruto just blink and go, yeah, good joke, good joke, really, who is my father? She'd shake her head and go, sorry Kit, but I'm not joking around. Your father really is Konoha's Yellow Flash. You really are the fourth Hokage's still. Oh wow, I'm going with daughter. Naruto just go, you're checking, right? You have to be joking, right? I'm sorry, Kit. I'm not. Naruto would have tears in his eyes as it just. You have to be joking. You can't be the. Just as you just be just there on the ground crying. His Kurama was annoyed because she couldn't really step any closer because stuff may trigger, and you saw she may be in a transformed state of Naruto. Well, the only thing she was transformed was, well, she transformed into entire not entire look, her clothing to match her, and obviously like the bra from a cup to a D cup. So yeah. Anyway, and and after 15-20 minutes, Naruto had calmed himself down, and he'd go, and your father used this jutsu, Naruto, and I bet if you use the blood clone, you may be able to bring him back for a limited amount of time to talk to him, possibly even, well, make me whole again. Naruto would nod, and he would then bring out a kunai and slice his hand, and would run through the same hand size he did before, and would summon another blood clone. He would nod and just lay down next to him. Naruto would somewhat wobble slightly, and like the cut had healed like fast as before, although the one difference that Kuma's chakra can't produce blood, or help pretty much heal, like make up any lost blood, because it would just be from the blood would be of somewhat say Kuma's, and it'd be different. It'd poison him, he'd die. So though his own kitchen chakra could, the only downside was it'd speed up his feminization. Well, his feminization going from male to female, which it didn't care about, and so after a second or two, he'd regained his bearings, as he'd grab one of the masks and we'd put it on, and we'd start running through the hand signs to summon forth the Shinigami, the death god. And after finishing them, the Shinigami would appear herself, as she'd somewhat lick her lips, though would then somewhat realising she wasn't getting the meal, and would sigh. It'd go, For who mortal brings me here, summons forth, and it'd go, me, Naruto Uzumaki. So it'd nod and go, so Naruto Uzumaki, who shall you resurrect for a limited amount of time? Naruto would say, my father, Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, and Konoha's yellow flash. So would nod and would bring out her katana and go, it shall be done, and slit her stomach open, as Minato's soul would come flying out and into Naruto's blood clan, the one laying on the floor. A bright light would emanate from him, as the Shinigami would say, it has been done. Enjoy the time you have with your father, because once it's up, he shall return to me. As she would then fade away, as Naruto would then turn towards the light, which had died down and it vanished, as the blood clone didn't look nothing like Naruto. It looked like Minato now. As Minato would open his eyes and get up, as he'd go, she would then turn his head and go, Naruto, is that you, my son? Is Naruto nod and would run and cuddle him. Sure, here's the reason why he was in Jinchuriki, but he wasn't going to blame his father. His father had somewhat, it was confusing, to say the least. And after a bit of talking, catching up, he'd then say, Naruto, what is your relationship with the Nine-Tailed Fox? If you know of her, that'd go, we'd go, I guess I should have introduced you sooner. Well, Dad, this is Kuma, you probably already know this Dad. Minto would go wide-eyed, as Kuma would somewhat step forward, not feeling the same kind of like have to stay here vibes now, and would go, well, long time no see, fourth Hokage. Minto would gulp slightly and would go, well, it's good to see you too, though. How are you out? So go, just a jutsu your son had come up with along the way. After all, should look at Naruto and Naruto go, well, we're best friends. It nod and would smile and go, well, that's something I need to do, Naruto. And but before that, have you trained in a chakra? Naruto nod and go, yeah, he's up to my third tail. I just said nod and go, mastered or unmastered? It's like, well, depends on your version of mastery. If you're on about, like, can you say jump into it and perform in, like, my third tail, perform jutsu upon jutsu upon jutsu upon jutsu? No. Though, if you mean can you jump into it and there be no bubbles and no side effects, then yes. I mean, I would just smile and go, well, good, Naruto, do you mind laying down and showing me the seal? Naruto would pull up his top, up to below his chest. It was kind of clear his dad thought of him as a male boy, and as such he wasn't going to show him his chest anytime soon. So yeah, Minato would look at the seal and would say, this may hurt, as he'd put both his hands onto the seal as he'd start channeling, he'd start pushing the other half of Kurama, the other half of the nine-tailed fox Kurama into Naruto, making Kurama whole again, as Kurama would somewhat wince from... She'd somewhat expected it, maybe even painful for herself, to be reunited, because it'd somewhat be a forceful reunite. And yeah, it was, though it wasn't as painful as Naruto was going. Naruto was, like, his hands were into fists, his feet were cold, and he was somewhat... like he had tears coming out of his his shut eyes, and yeah, he was just in pure pain. I mean, so just really didn't say anything, and after grueling pain for minute, 2 minutes, the pain would finally all be gone away, as Naruto would open his eyes again, as he'd go, Council, I guess I should have given you some type of warning. Naruto go, you think? But what did you do? As going to go, he made me whole, Kit. He made me whole. I'm full again. And I'd nod that there is something else I need to do. And I'd go and go, okay, go right ahead. And so Rhythm would put his hands on Naruto's stomach as he would twist his hand, but as Naruto would then somewhat gasp, as like he'd thought his dad was going to, strengthen the seal, because now that'd be, it wouldn't just be half, it'd be the entire nine tails, Kurama's full power. Nah, he was just loosening it up into the fourth tail. Yeah, his Minato then, after doing that, Minato then would move his hands and would then, like in the middle of the seal, would press his heart up. That's all. 4 fingers and 1 thumb down, as glow would somewhat emulate. It would glow for a bit, as then it would change, as Minato would then rest his whole palm on it, and would somewhat change the criteria of the backup seals. The 2 backup seals, which were Kushina, which would trigger when Naruto wanted to get Kurama's chakra, which wasn't needed. So instead of just letting Kushina's chakra fade away or merge with Naruto's to give Naruto just all of Kushino's memories, which, well, wasn't a bright idea and would be very stupid and dangerous. So yeah, he wouldn't do that. He'd somewhat change it, so when Naruto was around 15, 16, 17 years old, Kushino would come to him to speak, I guess. He didn't really know. But yeah, the one he changed the most was his chakra and the seal around that, because his for him to appear within Naruto was when Naruto entered around the 8th tail, the 7th to 8th tail, he would come forth to rebuild the seal. But because that wasn't somewhat needed, he'd still have that in case he'd gotten angry enough that, he did somehow go from 4th or 5th tail all the way up to the 8th and was about to just rip the seal to smithereens, and yeah, wouldn't be great. So that would still be there, but he changed the key on. Well, he changed the lock and the key, because changing the lock requires a new key, and he'd made that new key, though only him and the clone and the chakra remnants inside of Naruto would now know that key. So then, when Naruto had mastered the 8th tail, and would master it enough that Minato's chakra, or the chakra left in Naruto, would be satisfied, the Minato's chakra would come to Naruto and would give Naruto the key to unlock and relock his seal. Yeah, which would mean that the key that Jiraiya has would not work, because, after seeing how close him and Kurama, Nine Tails was, it just cleared that that Jiraiya could be more of a hindrance than instead of being positive, it'd be a giant hindrance. So yeah. Anyway, after doing that, and he'd somewhat would start fading, because it was only for a limited amount of time. Sure, he could have done it. Naruto could have brought his father back for a lot longer period of time, but he really didn't know how, or anything else besides from just use those hand signs to summon forth a person that sacrifices that soul to the Shinigami. So yeah. Anyway, after they had said their final goodbyes, was just cuddling Naruto as Naruto was crying, as this was possibly the last time he'd possibly ever talk to his father again. Yeah, sure, he could summon him forth as much times as he wants, because he could do a blood clone. Well, as much times before he would faint from blood loss, which was probably one more clone. So yeah, and then of course the body just crumbled to dust. So yeah, after a good minute or two of crying, Naruto would somewhat stop, and we'd go back to the surface where Sakura had wandered up to, because it was a pretty much father and somewhat daughter reunionization after 12 years. So yeah, she didn't want to be down there. She didn't feel like she should be anyway. So yeah. Anyway, though, one of the last things Minato did say was more so to Kurama, and and he'd said, well, he told her to look after Naruto for him. And Kurama just nodded and said, you don't have to worry, I will forever look after him. Yeah. It was somewhat annoying Kurama that she was using the phrase him, because, well, she generally called Naruto Kid. And generally did use the him, well, the him, his, whatever the metal suffixes are, I don't know. So yeah, anyway. After that, Naruto made his way back up to Sakura, and they'd talked and walked back, though. Once they'd made it back to Konoha, which was a 5-minute walk, they'd gone and looked for Kakashi. After finding him, they'd tell him what had happened, and Kakashi would be quite surprised. And after Naruto had showed him the serum, he could see it somewhat different. Kakashi would go, I don't exactly know what I'm meant to look for, but I can tell it's somewhat different. And yeah, so I don't know, but well, as long as he's happy with it, then I'm fine. Naruto just nodded, and well, Kakashi was really the only one that was kind of truthful enough that he'd say, yeah, I don't know. I don't know really nothing about Fuinjutsu, and it goes over my head. I may be able to do a bit, but otherwise it goes over my head. So yeah. Anyway, after that, and well, yeah, and pretty much Naruto had spent the rest of the day once again. Well, actually, it started to turn dark anyway, because of, well, they were there for a good couple of hours. Yeah, and they'd spent a good couple of hours just wandering about anyway, so, oh yeah. After that, and the next day, Naruto had woken up to a pretty substantial change. He'd woken up and they did a somewhat normal routine, which was just to stand in front of his full body mirror naked to see if there were any changes to his body. And yeah, there was somewhat of a large one. His breasts had grown overnight from a A cup to a B cup, and Kurama had thought that Naruto's breast size would increase within another week to either another 2 weeks, or by the end of the month it should have grown to a B cup, but instead they'd grown to a B cup now, and she assumed the main reason why was because she was now whole again. As such, the amount of either chakra and change that was going on had sped up, doubled. And yeah, she wasn't 100% sure, but she guessed that was possibly the main reason why. Right, hold up. Yeah. And Naruto, his junk in between his legs were pretty much, gone as well. It was none that. He was pretty much as Naruto, his eyes would go down as his hands which were somewhat on his chest, and his right hand would go down in somewhat shock as he'd go, I'm not dreaming, I'm actually flat down. As could be surprised and go, and would just think, I was expecting was my chakra that powerful that it would just do that much to him, though I guess it somewhat makes sense. But she would then close somewhat circulate a bit of her she'd connect with the chakra that was her chakra was circulating around Naruto, and she'd go, oh, that's why he may have a vagina now, but it's not fully constructed. It's just he can use it to go pee. Well, she can use it to go pee, but that was practically it. So Naruto, somewhat without Kurama realizing, his hand had somewhat gone into it and somewhat struck out as Naruto go, I really am a girl now. His finger then somewhat went in slightly by mistake. It went. Oh yeah, he wasn't planning on fingering himself anytime soon, but yeah, she did, and I did gasp, went wide-eyed, and let out a slight moan of pleasure, though it was a bit, didn't really, no, it wasn't real any moans of pleasure, but it's more of a just gasp as, yeah, she pull up, not didn't pull her finger and Panvers, what just happened, what was that, as Kurama snapped back and somewhat realised that Naruto just somewhat accidentally fingered herself. As she go, as she just slap herself in the face and go, Kit, you just fingered yourself, didn't you? And I'd go, I don't know, my finger just went in a part of me, and I don't, my finger went inside of me. As signed, it explained what Naruto had felt, and yeah, and we'd explain that, you could use to go pee, which was pretty much it. I'd go, what do you mean pee? It's like, it's somewhat still forming, so the max you can do is only pee for now. Like you're like the female reproductive system, or another, so you can have a baby that's still, say, forming, and I'm assuming by probably the end of either this month or next month it will be done. Not 100% sure, as like my chakra just got doubled, and I wasn't expecting you to, like, say, get a vagina until, say, 4, 5, 6 months later. But yeah, I'm guessing doubling my doubling pretty much my reserves and power and everything could just, made your feminization a lot faster than expected. It seems so. So I'm guessing I'm gonna need to get a whole new wardrobe. I'd say that's the best bet, Naruto. Because I'm pretty sure if you tried your top on, it will look quite small on you. Naruto would, and it just looked like a crop top on him. Well, on her. Naruto would let her, like, sigh of annoyance, as she'd just have to deal with it. She'd slide on, obviously, stuff that was too small for her, and would transform them into fitting her. Though she didn't put any, she didn't put a bra on or that, because that would be definitely painful. Kurama told her that it should probably break the bra or sports bra, so it wasn't suggested. Yeah, it wasn't advised to do so. So she went to the clothes shop, and the person there, like, it has been the same person. She was the only one that ran the shop. It was she'd somewhat guessed, or at least thought Naruto would have B-cup breasts sometimes, so she'd slowly started making like B-cup breasts, breasts, and it really only changed one colour, which was red. and I'd done like 2 weeks worth in like 2 weeks. I'd done she'd done 7 sports bars and 7 normal bars, and then graved the sports bars with the Uzumaki swirl. So yeah, and after picking them up, Nato get some new clothing as well, though. She'd also know that she'd also need a new new what's it called? New ninja outfit. Yeah, though when she was buying her new clothing and shoes and that, because her shoe size had somewhat increased a bit, Kun made her get some like skirts and some different heels, so that she could at least learn to walk in heels, because if there was a party, say if she was invited to a party or that, she would have to learn how to walk in heels. And yeah, Kun also got her to get a dress, and 2 dresses. One red one which looked quite nice on her, and another one which was black, which had black legging. It came with, funny enough, or at least for Nato, which she'd thought it was slightly odd, which it'd come with black leggings. It was a black dress, black leggings, and black elbow high or just past the elbow gloves. Nato had asked why this was, and she had responded with because it's all black kit, it's pretty much you're really only going to use it for funerals. Not right, yeah. She'd somewhat forgot that funerals were a thing. She'd never really went to one herself, and she's somewhat proud of that she never had someone die. Or though the sad thing also was that it technically also meant she didn't really have any friends. So yeah, and she somewhat hoped that she wouldn't be going to a funeral anytime soon, and Kuma somewhat hoped the same, but it was still smarter to be prepared. So yeah, and Nato also went and ordered a new ninja outfit, but that I'd ordered 2 ninja outfits, and they were going to be ready within a couple of days, within 2-3 days. Within 3. Or at least the first one was going to be done within 2 days. The second one, she didn't really know, but so anyway, and this is where I'm going to end, guys. So if you have enjoyed it, tell me in the comments down below that you've enjoyed it, and of course, just like all the other times, tell me if you've enjoyed it, guys, and if you're on part 8. So yeah, guys, if you don't want part 8, then I guess I'll be seeing you Friday for another part of what if Kurama's chakra turns out into a female. If not, then it'd be a random part. No, guys, stay safe, have a good day or night, depending on what time it is for you and whatever time it is that you're watching this at. And yeah, stay safe and a good bye.